We're crying out to you today because our hearts are filled with the seed that will supply the need deep within you. Whether you are standing tall or had a recent fall, this is an urgent call to you.
For a long time, I did well to hide my shame. My shame walked up and said hello, and then he told me his name, except his fingers did the walking. And with each keystroke, he spoke as he messaged me on Facebook. And because I was lonely, hello was the hook, and that's all it took to get my attention.
And attention is what we're seeking most with each social media post.
I wanted a boyfriend so bad because I thought it would add romance to my current circumstance. Warm hugs and tender kissing, I was definitely missing. Hoping and wishing for some affection. Someone to hang out with, go out on dates, talk on the phone at night real late. But lately, being alone was my fate. This guy wasn't even an ideal candidate, but he filled the space. So, although I knew better, like you know better, I took the bait that took me on a ride to making the worst mistake of my life. Like Romeo and Juliet, it was a fantasy
that was leading to a tragedy.
I gave him my body in exchange for hope. His presence gave me hope that I wouldn't always be that girl who could only dream that she had a man. But I wasn't quite sure if he was even my man. We were kind of just friends who enjoy lustful acts of sin. Well, not always enjoy it. But I continue to roll the dice, gambling with my life. And sometimes, the worst of times, I heard my soul crying as it was dying, being killed by the spirits I let in when I let him in.
I was losing who I was as I allowed this subpar, questionable relationship define who I was. I was losing my grip on reality, no longer looking like me, wasn't sounding like me, didn't feel like me. I was broken. And when I discovered I was pregnant, no hope could I see. I wanted to die. An abortion seemed the only option for me. So I took the pill that I was told would kill my baby. Now depression and suicidal thoughts are my friends lately.
We're crying out to you today because our hearts are filled with the seed that will supply the need deep within you. Whether you are standing tall or had a recent fall, this is an urgent call to you. This is not a game. Jesus is here right now to save you from death and deliver you from confusion and shame.
I always felt different when I was a kid, like I didn't quite fit in. They told me I acted like a girl, and yeah, kids are cruel in this world, but it just wasn't kids. Adults will say, you're going to grow up to be gay. They weren't shy about what they spoken to me. A kid, way too young to see or fully comprehend the message that they did send directly to my soul to reinforce the confusion within that was originally planted by a horrible sin that was committed upon me. It defiled me. It hurt me.
And now it seems to beckon me.
Everything in me screams that these thoughts are wrong, they're bad and unclean, and I'm trying to hold on, but it's so hard to be strong, especially when I have those dreams. So what do? There's no one to talk to about this struggle. Screaming for help through this muscle of confusion, shame, and fear, wishing for someone to steer me in the right direction. But all I feel is rejection. My identity was stolen from me before I ever knew who I was. No father there to shape me in his love. My mother worked a lot. There was no one around to protect me from the evil lurking around, seeking to kill me before I ever got the chance to grow up and become a man. And because I've lived with this lie for so long, I can no longer tell what's right from what's wrong. Don't know who I am. Don't know where I belong. This is not ever what I wish to be. Can't turn to my friends. Can't turn to my family. Cannot turn to my church. They hate people like me. They condemn me for what they see externally. Can't look past their eyes to see the victim in me. Searching for peace, I found the LGBT. And because I was living in torment, I grabbed at any hope I could see to help alleviate this misery.
We're crying out to you today because our hearts are filled with the seed that will supply the need deep within you. Whether you are standing tall or had a recent fall, this is an urgent call to you. This is not a game. Jesus is here right now to save you from death and deliver you from confusion and shame.
So whether you're the person who's been in church all your life, knowing the truth but struggling hard to live right, ready to give up because you don't want the fight, this call is going out to you. Or maybe you haven't listened to a word we've said. Thoughts of getting money and girls fill your head?
Wake up.
This call is to you. And when you know deep down you can't stay in this place,
Get up.
there are no sidelines in this race. God is calling for you to seek his face. And although you feel quite far away, you're not too far from his grace. And when you know you need something but don't know what it is, you want to move on but don't know how to forgive, you're a dead man walking pretending to live, God is calling to you. And although you gave your absolute best and the repeated rejection made you feel less than, the discouragement killed your joy and you sat down on your gift. But guess what? God is still calling to you. Whether raped, molested, or disrespected, you are still chosen and elected, even though you got infected with the STD, because you let Lil Willie be free with no known cure for man to see. You're in disbelief of your reality. But God is still calling to you. And even if you took your baby's life, God still wants to give you life in spite of what you've done. Yes, God is calling to you. And you may not know from whom you came, may not even know your daddy's name, but by the Heavenly Father you have been claimed. And even if you're confused inside, needing clarity on your sexual identity, God is saying, my child, just look to me, because God is calling to you. And this is what he says.
I love you no matter what you've done. I love you no matter what you've done.
I love you no matter what you've done, no matter who you've been with, no matter where you've gone. I love you so much I sent my son so that you could become right with me. Jesus left heaven because we sinned, and in our imperfection wants to be a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And even if you were a bad mother, alcoholic or crackhead mother, God says, I'm still in love with you. And my son's blood can make you new.
We're crying out to you today because our hearts are filled with the seed that will supply the need deep within you. Whether you are standing tall or had a recent fall, this is an urgent call to you. This is not a game. Jesus is here right now to save you from death and deliver you from confusion and shame.
Jesus came down to earth through a virgin birth
so that you could answer the call.
He suffered because we fell from grace. They struck him openly and spit in his face
so that you could answer the call.
He was beaten and battered as his friends all scattered, then nailed to a cross so our souls wouldn't be lost.
So that you could answer the call.
Falsely accused, for our iniquities bruised, part human like us and part divine, he shed his blood for all mankind.
So that you could answer the call.
Took torture upon his flesh, didn't give in to temptation but withstood the test.
So that you could answer the call.
He stayed on the cross to fulfill God's will.
So that you could answer the call.
Then he died and the earth was night. The devil defeated, he lost the fight. Jesus rose in victory on the third day. He is the truth and the light. He is the only way. So,
come to Jesus, come to Jesus, come to Jesus, answer the call.